Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Killer Conversations, the podcast where every case has a story and every story sparks a conversation. I'm your host, Austin, and joining me today is my co-host, Leah. We're here to discuss a case that made waves in the legal world and raised some serious questions about the line between fantasy and crime.
Thanks, Austin. Today we're talking about the infamous Cannibal Cop case, which has left many people, especially victims advocates like ourselves, feeling uneasy.
That's right. For those who aren't familiar, this case revolves around Gilberto Valle, a former NYPD officer who was arrested in 2012 for allegedly plotting to kidnap, kill, and eat women.
It's a disturbing case, to say the least. What really gets me, Austin, is how Valle had detailed files on real women, including his own wife. He even shared photos, names, and addresses online.
Leah, can you tell our listeners a little more about Valle?
Gilberto Valle, born April 14, 1984, and grew up in Middle Village, Queens, after his parents' separation. He attended Archbishop Malloy High School and graduated from the University of Maryland in 2006 with a psychology degree. Valle joined the NYPD in 2006, working in Manhattan's 26th Precinct. He met his wife Kathleen Mangan on OkCupid, married her in 2010 in Spokane, Washington, and had a daughter in early 2012.
How did the FBI find out about Valle's online activities?
Valle used his wife's computer after his broke. Suspecting infidelity, his wife installed spyware on the computer, which revealed extreme pornography and chats detailing Valle's secret fantasy life. Horrified, she took their daughter to her parents in another state and reported Valle to the FBI.
Absolutely chilling, Leah. And what's even more concerning is that Valle was active on a website called Dark Fetish Network, where he shared these horrific fantasies under the username Girl Meat Hunter.
You know, Austin, what really strikes me about this case is the fear these women must have felt when they found out they were targets of Valle's fantasies. Can you imagine discovering that someone you know, maybe even trust, has been planning your abduction and murder, even if it was just in their mind?
It's truly terrifying, Leah. And it raises an important question for us as victims advocates. How do we protect potential victims from individuals who harbor such violent thoughts, even if they haven't acted on them yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The case gets even more complicated when we consider that Valle was initially convicted, but then the same judge overturned the conviction.
Right, and that decision sent shockwaves through the legal community. The judge essentially said that fantasizing about committing a crime, even against a real person you know, isn't itself a crime. We want to invite a guest to share his thoughts on this case. Welcome Armando, who is a fellow true crime podcaster.
Hi, everyone.
So, Armando, what do you think about this case?
This case just blew my mind. I believe that Valle got away with a crime.
Really? Tell us why.
Having violent fantasies is not illegal, but Valle's fantasies were not just in his head. He seemed to be planning to carry out those fantasies. What you guys have not mentioned is that Valle illegally used the NYPD database to look up some of his potential victims and their addresses. Why would he do that if he was not planning to carry out his fantasies? He also looked up how to chloroform a girl on the internet. This guy is just sick, and I believe his wife accidentally finding his online behavior saved the life of potential victims.
Thank you, Armando, for sharing your opinion. You made an excellent case for guilt, and I agree with you.
And that's where I struggle, Austin. As advocates for victims, how do we reconcile the need to protect potential victims with the legal principle that thoughts alone aren't criminal?
It's a delicate balance, Leah. On one hand, we have the right to freedom of thought and expression. On the other, we have the very real fear and trauma experienced by the women who were the subjects of Valle's fantasies.
Exactly. And let's not forget, Austin, that even though Valle was ultimately not convicted, his actions had real consequences. His marriage ended, he lost his job as a police officer, and his reputation was destroyed.
That's true, Leah. It's a stark reminder that our online activities can have serious real-world consequences, even if they don't result in criminal charges.
You know, Austin, this case really highlights the need for better education about online behavior and the potential consequences of sharing violent fantasies, even in supposedly private forums.
Absolutely, Leah. It also underscores the importance of supporting victims and potential victims. Even if no physical crime has been committed, the psychological impact of being targeted in someone's violent fantasies can be devastating.
That's a crucial point, Austin. As advocates, we need to push for more resources and support for individuals who find themselves in situations like this, where the threat may not be physical, but is certainly psychological.
Well said. As we wrap up today's episode, I think it's clear that the Cannibal Cop case has left us with more questions than answers. It challenges us to think critically about the boundaries between thought and action, fantasy and crime, and how we can best protect potential victims in the digital age.
Absolutely. It's a complex issue that we'll undoubtedly be grappling with for years to come.
As we wrap up today's episode, consider this. How many of us would be comfortable having our entire search history made public? Because if the Cannibal Cop case teaches us anything, it's that our online activities can have very real consequences in the offline world, whether we intended them to or not.
That's a chilling thought to end on, and maybe a wake-up call for all of us about our digital footprints.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of Killer Conversations. We'll be back next week with another case, another story, and another chance to uncover the truth. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more true crime cases that's sure to spark an interesting conversation.